In this video, we're going to show you how to prep a pool, find the hollow points, put on Bond, and then finally do the resurfacing. First, you got to go to all the fittings, use a jackhammer, and bust out all of the old plaster around it to make sure that there's no leaks. Here's one that's been busted out, and here's the light fixture all cleaned out, so that you know that you're not going to have problems with that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get a pressure washer, and you're going to go over every single inch of the pool surface. You could rent or buy one at Home Depot or Lowe's, your choice, or you can just hire somebody to do it like we did. And it's important to pressure wash it, especially if you've had any type of algae, either green algae or black algae, because this will knock that off of the wall and get it super clean. As you can see here, as we're going along, the wall is becoming a lot whiter. A pressure washer removes all of the loose old material from this 20-year-old pool's surface. And the water coming out of that pressure hose is being sucked up by that pump in the drain, and we're letting it percolate back here. It's not a lot. And I said before, you can buy or rent these pressure cleaners. They just hook up to the house water through a hose, and they create that high pressure stream that cleans the wall right here. As you can see, it just like does a pretty good job. It takes all of that stuff off of there. And at the same time, we're getting rid of all that algae, all the loose material, and it's going to make a nice, good surface to put the bonding agent on. And before we do that, we've got to clean all the loose material off the bottom of the pool. Next, we check for pockets or holes by scraping a hatchet or a hammer over the surface of the pool. When you do this, you get this hollow sound. It goes from one pitch to another, and you can see that you've got an air pocket underneath there, and you've got to chop it out or break it out and remove all of the plaster where that hole is. And as you can see, we had our share of holes in the surface of the pool, and he's working at it right there, getting rid of all of the loose plaster. And of course, that'll be refilled with new plaster once we get the Diamond Brite in. So you guys found all the holes, you chip them out, right?
Yes.
And then try to get all the loose plaster off.
Yeah,
As best you can. How to use a Bosch Jackhammer. Handheld. That's a bigger one than he had.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We got bigger ones too.
He had a Bauer.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the handle. Then we got to get the right bit. So that loosens. It's putting the big bit in.
Yeah.
You slide it in, twist it. Yeah. Oh, so you push. Yeah, oh, I see. So you push that down, and that locks it in. All right, now we're gonna get an expert demonstration of jackhammering. Oh yeah. That's how you tell if you got a hole, right? So when he scraped his axe across there, you could hear the change in the pitch of the sound. You could hear that hollow area, and we've got to take that out. We've got about I would say a 2 or 3 foot area that's got to come out of there. So instead of trying to chop it out with the axe, we brought in the big gun, the handheld jackhammer. You can see he's using a pretty good sized bit. It's got like a 2.5 inch head on it, and that'll get in there and knock all of that loose plaster out of there, because we've got a pretty big area that we've got to clean. You do not want to leave any hollow spaces or holes in your pool surface before you put the Diamond Brite on. So you can see how it just breaks up when you get in there, huh? Oh, it's still got a little bit over there. Yeah, because so it looks like it kind of went across there, huh? And we took out about 3 feet of that area. As you can see, he's testing it with the axe for more hollow points. You want to make sure you get all the loose stuff off. Well, that was a big area. Good thing we got it, huh?
Yep.
We made another mess, didn't we? Oh yeah. And then next what we've got to do is scrape up all of the loose debris, and then we're going to rinse the entire surface of the pool and try to get all of those granules, those little pieces that came off of the old surface, the 20-year-old surface of that pool. We want to get as much of that off of there and get that surface as clean as possible, because you don't want to have any loose debris when you put the bonding agent on. And that's our next step after we've got this pool completely cleaned out. As you can see, he's just going around making sure that he gets it all down there. That pump's sucking the water out, but it also has a little filter to keep that debris from going down into the drain. So before we can put the bonding agent on, what we've got to do is clean everything off the surface of the pool. And you can see we're using the shop vac to suck up all the water and any other loose material. And once that's done, then we can go ahead, mix up our bonding agent and apply it to the surface. So this is Bond Coat. We have to put this on the pool surface and let it cure for 24 hours. So we're going to mix it up. You don't do this until you've completely cleaned the surface out and knocked out all the holes and hollow points. Here we're mixing it up with a giant drill and a mixer, and doing it in a big giant bucket. And you can see it looks a little bit like cement. It's dark and thick, and you can change the thickness of it by squirting a little bit of water in. See, he's doing that with a sponge right now. And just mixing it and trying to get it to the right consistency for the application. And you can see he's going to use a paint roller, really. He's just going to paint it on. And we're dipping it into the bucket, and then we're just going to roll it right on all over the surface. So I sped this up about 2,000 times the speed. And what they're doing is they're going around the whole surface of the pool. They're painting every inch of it, trying not to get it on the tile, and putting that bonding agent everywhere they can. So far we've put our tile on. We did a pressure wash of the surface. We popped out all the hollow points, and now we've got our bonding agent on. So now we are ready for our oyster quartz Diamond Brite. As you can see, this pool's already been prepped. We've already applied the bonding agent. We've chopped out all the hollow holes, and we've installed all of our waterline tile and accents on the steps. This job's going to take approximately 42 bags of Diamond Brite.
Probably like 40 something.
47 bags?
About 40 something, about 42,
Wow,
43.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, we've got these huge 42-gallon buckets that we're going to set in the center of the pool. The Diamond Brite will go inside of those buckets. We have a large drill with a giant mixer, just like the same kind of mixer you'd use for cement or thin set or grout. And we're going to have one guy mixing it, and we're going to fill those buckets with water and the Diamond Brite material from those bags that are sitting right there. And we're just going to mix the hell out of it with that mixer. You can see it flying all over the place. And really, it looks like, plaster. It looks like plaster or white cement. He's going to wet down all the walls. They're going to grab their trowels, and they're going to start applying this to the surface of that Bond coat all the way up to the tile. And it doesn't matter if they slop it on the tile, because we're going to wipe that all off later, and we're going to get it all nice and clean. But as you can see, these are large trowels. They're just kind of pulling that material up. Now we've got to get it about an inch thick all over the surface of the pool. So it's going to require a lot of material. We've got, he said, over 40 bags of it. And we've got about 8 guys working this because we want to get it done quick. There's always going to be a guy mixing up the dough so we can bake the bread. And this mixing is going to go on almost through all of the application. As you can see, it's quite a project. Now, one of the hardest things to do, of course, is the steps. So we've got one guy who is an expert at it. And as you can see, he's working on it right now. Resurfacing this pool with oyster quartz Diamond Brite is a arduous process which requires a lot of material. And you can see he's just dumping buckets of it on there. And it's going to be, at least an inch worth of material. Now check out his shoes. Those are called spikes. And they use them so that they can walk over the top of the plaster. The spikes on the bottom, there's 4 of them, and they're connected to his galoshes or his boots. And what they do is they just make 4 little holes that you can easily smooth over with your trowel. So you can walk over the surface of the wet material or the wet plaster or Diamond Brite without leaving any footprints. He's kind of pushing it around with the trowel, trying to get it nice and even, and he's covering all of the tile, which later will expose when we start to do the finishing part of it. But he's just getting all the material everywhere on those steps. This is going to take a couple hours to do, actually. This is probably the most important area because this is the hardest one to do. You've got curves, you've got bends. This pool is not a straight pool. It's very circular, so it requires a lot of expertise. There's a better shot of those boot spikes that they use to walk across the surface. You can see how he's slowly smoothing it out. There's still ridges in it, but those are going to be all troweled away by the time he's finished. Slowly but surely, he's going to smooth and trowel all of this Diamond Brite out as he goes along using those spikes on the bottom of his boots. And you can see all of our accent tile has been covered up. You can't see any of it that are on those steps. But don't worry, because later on we will clean that off and expose those tiles, and they're going to come out phenomenal. Just wait until you see this finished product. And as you can see, we're mixing up another giant batch of material, and this is going to keep going until we've got all those bags of Diamond Brite mixed up. Here's a closer shot. You can see the long mixer that's in there. On the other side, we've got water to clean off the trowels and to clean out the buckets. So, and there is a shot of the boards that they use, which has 4 little spikes on the bottom of them too, so that they can move their equipment around inside of the pool and on top of the Diamond Brite. So this application of this massive amount of material just is being done very quickly. So we're constantly mixing and applying it to the surface. And you're going to notice he's using a sponge to clean his trowel because he wants to have a nice clean surface on the trowel as he does the finishing on the steps. And here they're just dumping buckets of the material right on the steps as he's working it with the trowel and getting it into place and spreading it around. And we've got, here's a big bucket. See that? Just pouring it everywhere. And you can see there's a lot of activity going on here. We got a guy mixing, we got a guy pouring buckets, we got a guy troweling, we got a guy just standing there. All kinds of stuff happening. So here's a shot from above. As you can see, he's troweling over all of the steps and covering up all of that tile that's the accent tile that's on the very edges of the steps. It looks very chaotic and messy right now, but you got to remember this is only the first application. And what he's doing is spreading this all over the steps, all over the tile, and he's trying to get enough material on there so that then he can mold it into a fine finished surface. Here he's molding the Diamond Brite into a nice smooth curve all the way up from the sun step to the waterline tile. And of course, the mixing continues as we have lots more material to apply. And at the other end of the pool, the guys are doing the deep end, and they've got these large trowels, and you can see he's troweling it all the way up to the waterline tile. And the finishing continues on the sun step. And the guys are working their way around on the side of the pool as the mixing continues. And you can see them troweling it all the way down to the bottom. And here's a tighter shot of the application of the material onto the bottom step. As you can see, he's troweling it smoother. So we pretty much got our coat on the steps, and we've got it all over the sides of the pool. Next, we're going to do the very bottom surface of the pool. And what they're doing is they're just dumping out the Diamond Brite onto the surface of the pool. And you can see them just pouring it out. And then they just basically just turn the whole tub over, the 42-gallon tub over, and just dump it all out as everybody else is spreading it across the bottom of the pool. Here he's cleaned part of the tile off, and you can see how beautiful it looks next to that oyster quartz Diamond Brite. And the process of troweling the material continues all over the bottom of the pool, the sides of the pool, and the steps. And over a period of hours, a nice smoother surface will slowly but surely start to emerge as they work the material across the entire surface of the pool. This pool really doesn't have right angles. Where the surface and the walls meet is very curved, so they've got to kind of smooth that all out. These large squares are called boards. They have 4 spikes on them, and you kneel and stand on them as you're working on the plaster. And the work goes on as they trowel out the material. As you can see, we're getting the whole pool covered, but it's not done. It's going to take a number of hours, and you can see down here, it looks messy, but when they get it done, it'll be much smoother. So the Diamond Brite slowly starts to firm up, and you can see they're all using boards and spikes, which allows them to move across the surface, only making 4 little holes in the material. When they move the board, then they can trawl over those holes, and it doesn't leave a big footprint like you would if you had your rubber boots on. And in the deep end of the pool, we're cleaning the tile off, slowly but surely. Back on the steps, we're using a corner tool, which smooths out the corner and makes it nice and round. And he's pulling off that excess material as he does it, and he's going back and forth and working that Diamond Brite into a nice, smooth, round corner. Here's where the artistry comes in, because you've got to be meticulous and have to have an attention to detail. And you've got to get this so it's nice and smooth and round, and that the tile pops out. So he's really got to do a good job here. So here again, he's using that corner tool, trying to get a nice round, smooth corner on that circular step, which is much harder than just a straight step. He's going to wash it off with a sponge, and he's going to wash off his trowel also, so he's got a nice clean surface, and then go back to it and work the side of that step, and then of course also work the corner with that corner tool. So I don't want to bore you with the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to speed this up to about 400 to 800, depending on the clip. The longer the clip, the faster I can speed it up. And basically what we're doing is we're just trying to trowel this out as it slowly hardens and get it as smooth as possible. Now you got to remember, this is hand troweled, so sometimes it's not perfect, but they can get pretty close. But as we go along, it's going to get smoother and smoother, and it takes time. Like I said, it's about a 4-hour process. Those are the spikes right there. And, they're getting there. See, he's wearing the spikes. He's going around. He's smoothing it out. Same here. He's on the boards. And they're going to try to work their way back. And it's kind of like painting yourself into a corner. But as it gets harder later, you'll be able to walk on it with socks. And they'll be able to get all the spots that they missed and smooth them out, hopefully. As you can see, we're getting a smoother finish. Over here, we've got a lot of work to do, but over here, it's starting to come together. It's not easy, like I said. It's constantly going over it with your trowel over and over again. Here, he's got his shoes on now because it's gotten hard enough that he can stand on it. And he's got to clean off all that tile and get it squared away. So he's got the sponge on it and he's wiping it, and still using that corner tool to try to get an even more smoother corner. Back over here by the drain, we got to get that slope properly so that the water does drain. Here's the tiles again, just kind of cleaning them off. And those guys now are walking on sponges, big giant sponges that they have. And they're just kind of like making their way across. And same thing here, starting to get closer. That's muriatic acid. We're going to use that in a little bit. First of all, we got to make sure it gets all dry. It's looking pretty smooth. We still got a little bit more to do. He's going to clean out all of these spouts where the water shoots back into the pool from the filter. The last thing you want is your water return to be clogged up with Diamond Brite. So he's making sure that's clear. And here we're taping up a giant sponge that we're going to slip our foot in around that duct tape and walk on the Diamond Brite with. And here Jeremy's going around the waterline tile, and he's just kind of cleaning it, any little chunks, trying to get all the imperfections off. And he's also double checking that water return right there, making sure that there's no Diamond Brite in there. That's got to be clear. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem. And there you can see a little bit closer shot of the tile. And he's kind of just making sure it looks nice and sweet. And here's a close shot of the sponge on the feet contraption that these guys put together. Check it out. All right, so here's a high shot, and it's about 6,000 times the speed. And what we're doing is just kind of cleaning it up. We're waiting for it to dry, and then what we're going to be doing is we're going to apply muriatic acid to the surface of the pool. If you look around the pool, about every 4 feet, you see a bottle. And they're just going to walk around the pool and just pour it. See that smoke coming up and how it turns that greenish yellow color? And you should wear a respirator, and I would wear eye goggles and gloves. But these guys, not quite wearing the most protective equipment. He's got a respirator on right there, and he's squirting the water on. As soon as he squirts the water on, you can see the chemical reaction. It turns back to white. But they're going to do this all the way around the pool. making sure to cover every single square inch with acid. And you can see it's liberally being distributed all over the sides and the bottom surface of the pool. You see how he's throwing it all over there he is, he's getting it everywhere. And wherever it goes, it turns yellow-green, and you can see the smoke rising. So muriatic acid, probably not the best thing to breathe in or get in the gate of the eye or get on your clothing or to get on your skin. But if you're careful, I guess, these guys do it every day, and this is the way they do it. They just pour it all over the place, try to get every inch of the pool covered with it, and then they squirt it down with the hose. You can see about every 6 or 7 feet, there's a bottle of muriatic acid, and he's pouring it right onto the sun step, and the whole pool kind of turns like a yellow-green, doesn't it? And then they've got to get the H2O on it, the water on it, and then you see the chemical reaction. And it turns right back to white as soon as they start squirting it. And this is basically the last thing that they do before we fill up the pool. Well, we also have to put all the fixtures on. And now you can see he's squirting it with the hose. And as he does, as he hits it with the water, it just basically goes right to white, turns right to white. And they're washing it all the way down there. And we've got a pump by the 2 drains in the deep end of the pool. And we're letting that water percolate into the rocks. And it's not that much, so it shouldn't hurt anything. And so here he's just going around the pool looking for imperfections and washing down the walls and the tile, looking for any sand or anything in there, anything that might be a mistake that we need to fix. And next we're going to go ahead and put the fixtures in. There's the water return. There's one. We got one more over here, and then there's one on the other side of the pool that we've got to put on. There's our pump that's sucking all of that water out of the drain, and you can see it's starting to look pretty darn good, isn't it? Yeah, I think it looks really good. Of course, it's getting towards the end of the evening. Here's one more fixture on one of our water returns he's putting in, using a rubber mallet to do it. And once the pool's all filled with water, it will have to be brushed, and it'll have to be treated with chemicals. Here he's fixing a blemish on the bottom of the pool near the drain, just kind of smoothing it out. And we've also got to put our drain caps on, but we got to clean those drains out, make sure that there's no debris in them and that they're clear. So he's got a shop vac, and we're going to suck everything out of there, all that water that's in there. And then we've got to go down deep in there and make sure that there's no debris, there's no Diamond Brite, there's no plastic bag stuck in there, because that's the last thing you need. That'll screw up your filter, and you won't be able to filter the water in your pool if those things are blocked. So we've got to make sure that they're clear and that there's no problems in there, and that there's no obstructions. So he's handing the shop back up to him to pour out, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put some fittings on the inside of this drain and make sure that they're set in there properly. And then what we've got to do is kind of like tighten them down a little bit. He's using this to do that, to make sure it's set in there properly. And then we're going to go ahead and put our, once we get that done, we're going to go ahead and put those covers over the drains. And they're pretty simple to install. They're basically just 2 screws, 2 Phillips head screws. So you're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver to do it. And you just tighten them right down. Bam, done. And you got your drain covers on. And that's it. Just got to do 2 of them, of course. And last but not least is one of our lights. And what you have to do is kind of wrap the cord around the housing. And it only has 1 screw on it. So you just got to find where that screw goes. And it's a Phillips head. And you just kind of tighten her down once you find that little area where you screw it in. Just got to get your screwdriver on it and get her in there and just start twisting. Righty-tighty, and bam, you'll be good. And there's the light screwed into its housing. Bam, done. Pick up the sponges, and next all we've got to do is start filling this bad boy up. There's our hose. We just drop her down in there, and 24 hours from now, we should have a fully filled pool. So 24 hours later, we're about halfway filled. We live in Delray, so Delray has the worst water you could possibly imagine. It's filled with all kinds of minerals and sediment, and when it comes out of the tap, it looks green when you fill your pool up. But once we throw the chlorine and filter it, it should come out to be very clear. All right, 24 hours later, 15 gallons of chlorine, and we've got some of the green out of the water. We're going to filter it all day. And I got to clean the filter, and then we may even have to do another shock on it. But I think it's looking pretty good. What do you guys think? All right, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel and check out my other awesome videos. Peace out.